Okay, folks, welcome to another Friday Waffle. Now, this one is going to be an extremely short one because I quite literally don't have anything to say, and I should probably not even be doing one tonight. But I thought I'd give it a go anyway. So I hope you're all well. Weather-wise in Scotland, it's not been too bad. I mean, it was brutally cold. What was it? Maybe 2 weeks ago. It's actually got a wee bit milder, and you can definitely see it getting lighter at nights, which is wonderful. It means you can start kind of getting out. It means that your days are longer. When you finish work, you're not just having to go, lock yourself up in your house. You can get out, take dogs for a walk, go for a cycle. We're not quite there yet, but we're definitely getting there. So yeah, like I said, I hope you're all good. My last week, I did a live Friday Waffle with Del Boy, which is always good fun. These things are much easier doing it when you've got company because quite simply you've got somebody to talk to. Whereas when you're sitting in front of a laptop, in the case of this, it's just you. You've got nobody to kind of bounce off, or you've got no live comments to kind of interact with at all. But yeah, what have I been doing? So I did the live stream with Dale on Friday. Saturday, I watched the rugby. Now I don't know if anybody's a rugby fan that watches my channel. I do like watching international rugby. And I have to say, Scotland were 100% robbed of the victory. In the last, I think the last minute, whatever it was, Scotland went over, got a try. I think they were 4 points behind, 4 points behind, and in the last minute, Scotland went over for a try. There was a bit of a ruck, which is basically a group of rugby players on top of each other. And the referee had a look, and he said it was no. Well, he didn't actually say it was no try, but he did say it had to go to the TMV, which is like the video footage. So they had a look at it, and the angles, to be fair, weren't the greatest. But there is one angle where you can see the ball. It kind of came down, and then it landed on top of somebody's rugby boot. And then it moved off the rugby boot and was obviously sitting on the ground, which would have been a try. And the TMV guy did originally say that he felt it was a try, and then he started showing other angles, which really all it was doing was confusing. It didn't actually help any. And then he retracted his comment. He said that he couldn't guarantee it was a try, and then the referee award said no try. Thing is, it was a try. The only slight, I suppose, the only reason they didn't award it was because, whilst anybody that had half a brain could see that the ball had to be touching the ground, because you couldn't see the bottom of the ball and the ground, you couldn't physically see it touching, if that makes any sense. So it was annoying. We lost the match. I'm just hoping that we go on to win the next, is it 3 matches, I think it is? And then we can say we are the spiritual Grand Slam winners. But no doubt Scotland are going to get beaten in another match, and it will be completely inconsequential. But yeah, so watched that on Saturday. Didn't watch any other games. I was actually not too well. I did a live stream on Sunday. It was a partial success. We'll leave it at that. I was intending to play some like modern Commodore 64 games. When I say modern, I mean any game that was virtually written in the last, I don't know, 20 years, 25 years. The only problem was all the games that I had were, I didn't have them on the Mister. So I had to use an emulator again. Honestly, trying to remember, just it's been such a long time since I've used emulators for like live streams. In fact, it's been a long time since I used an emulator full stop. It's all been about the Mister for me. It's so much easier. Um, so I had to use an emulator, and I can't remember what happened. Yeah, it was just the emulator wasn't working. I was having various problems, and I ended up just abandoning it. Not the stream, I abandoned the theme of the stream, which was playing modern games, and I just played other stuff. Um, I've now managed to copy all of the game base games onto the Mister, which means I've now got all the modern games on the Mister. So I don't know. I've not decided what this Sunday stream is going to be. It's either going to be modern games, or I may do a Pico 8 stream. I put a video earlier on in the week, and somebody, I can't remember who it was it Martroid, I think it was, actually asked me if I would think about doing a live stream on the Pico 8. So I'll need to decide and let you know. That was on Sunday. Monday, I wasn't feeling particularly great. I felt rubbish. So didn't do anything, didn't go to cook. So Tuesday I was playing pool. Yeah, it was quite an interesting night. There was I'm just going to call him an arsehole, because that's exactly what he was. This guy came into the pub, and he was just being a complete arsehole, mouthing off, raising his voice, and then he was trying to start a fight with somebody. And he went outside. He went outside, and then he tried to come back in again, and somebody else chucked him out. And bottom line is, he ended up coming back in, and this guy just grabbed a hold of him and just ran him out. I think he opened the door with his head. It was quite funny to watch. But he then came back in again later on. You're like, there is no security to speak of in this pub, and it was left to basically the punters, the customers themselves, to kind of patrol and look after what this guy was doing, which isn't really right. I mean, if pubs are going to allow people in, they should at least have security of some sort to kind of control it. But anyway, so that was pool on Tuesday. I was at Cooksool on Wednesday. Thursday, which is tonight, actually, I'm doing this. So that's kind of been it. This weekend I'll be through with my girlfriends, and hopefully be along for the live stream on Sunday. So I've really got just 3 things to kind of talk about. Excuse me one little second. The last kind of 7 days, there's been a couple of sort of people who were quite iconic in my kind of growing up. The first was Carol Weathers, who played Apollo Creed in all the Rocky films. He also played, I can't remember what character he played. He was in Predator. He was in various films. But yeah, the Rocky series is one of my favourite sort of franchises, film franchises, I should say. And Carol Weathers, he was an icon of that time, and it's always sad when you hear the passing of people, because it's, apart from it's sad when they die, it's also a little reminder that we're all getting old. Yeah, and trust me, I'm starting to feel my age, I think. Still do my cook soul and that, what have you, but I've still got pain in my shoulders and what have you, and you do start to think, I'm not immortal, I'm getting older. But so that was sad. I wasn't sad as I'm going to start crying sad, but it was always sad to hear somebody that was part of your kind of childhood. Another one which kind of hit me a bit harder was Steve Wright. Now, if you're of a certain age, if you're sort of 30 years, if you're 30-year-old or younger, you probably don't know who this guy is. If you're my age or even a wee bit younger, you'll know that Steve Wright was a Radio 1 DJ. And yeah, I mean, he had his own, he used to do, it was called Steve Wright in the afternoon. He did the afternoon show on Radio 1. And yeah, he used to have a lot of humour. He used to put a lot of humour into his shows. And he was just a really, really fun guy. You know, his radio shows were really entertaining. And yeah, he passed away a couple of days ago. I think it was Monday actually died. He was 69 years old, which isn't particularly old, not nowadays. There's been no mention of what he died, you know, what caused his cause of death, I should say. I'm assuming it must have been either a long illness or, you know, a sudden death. Don't know, but yeah, I just want to say, Steve, thank you so much for the entertainment and the enjoyment that you gave, not just me, but literally millions of people my age. You will be sadly missed, mate. And a big thank you to Carol Weathers as well. So yeah, moving on from deaths, I've got a bit of a moan to come up. I heard fairly recently that if you subscribe to, if you've got Amazon, if you've got Amazon Prime, you pay a subscription on a monthly basis, and for that you get free delivery on a lot of things, free next day delivery. You get access, a limited access to Amazon Music, and you also get Amazon Video, which is quite good. Now I do make a lot. No, I use a lot of Amazon Video, make a lot of use of it. But about 6 months ago, they announced that they were going to introduce adverts. So even though we are paying money to watch these, they're going to introduce adverts, which is a pain in the arse. And then a couple of days ago, they've now announced that they're unless you, sorry, you know what I meant to say, I completely forgot what I was going to say there. Yeah, you have Amazon Prime, you get adverts in films now or TV programs. However, for I don't know what it is, £3, you can have an advert free experience. So they're now wanting us to pay extra money. We were getting advert free watching before, and now in their wisdom they've decided, no, let's take that off them and let's charge them £3. You might be saying it's only £3. It's not the point. It's the fact that we have been paying for a service, and then they've just decided, just out the goodness of their heart, that they're going to start charging us more if you want to retain the same service. It's not like going in a shop and buying something and saying, well, if you want an extra thing, you need to pay more for it. We were already getting that for the same one price, and then they've decided that they're going to start charging us more, and if we don't pay it, you get adverts. And then a couple of days ago, they've now announced that unless you pay the additional £3 for no adverts, you will also not be able to get, is it DTS and Atmos sound? So that's something else that they've taken away from the customer, which quite frankly is complete bullshit. When you think of Amazon as probably one of the richest companies in the world, I mean, is it Jeff Bezos, whatever his bloody name is? He's one of the richest. He's probably the top 10 richest people in the world. What is it with these companies that they get greedier and greedier and greedier? Absolutely pish. It really is. I mean, it's getting to the point where you just think, you know what, I'm just going to cancel it. The thing is, you end up cutting off your nose to spite your face, because I do like having the what do you call it, the next day delivery. That's great. Amazon Music, I do make a lot of it, make a lot of use of it. I also pay the additional money for Amazon Music, so you get access to even more songs. But if they think I'm going to pay an extra £3 for Atmos and DTS sound and no adverts, they can fuck off. Honestly, it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. There is absolutely no reason at all for them to justify that. I get, if you pay a fee for, I don't know, gas or electricity or something that maybe involves petrol, you say, well, our costs are going up and we have to pass some of that on to the customer. I totally get that. But for them to just charge you more for DTS sound or Atmos sound or adverts is bollocks, complete bollocks. So Amazon, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself, really should. And the last thing, before I go in, I think there's only one question actually. But the last thing, OBS issues. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier on when I was doing the Sunday live stream, I was having a lot of problems with OBS. Now, OBS is a piece of, is it open broadcasting software it stands for, I think. It's a completely free bit of software. It is available for Windows. Is it available for Apple, iOS? It might well be, actually. And it's also available for Linux. And it might be available for other things, I'm not too sure. And it's a fantastic bit of software. But I've just been having so many issues with it. And I was talking to Lacosa about a month ago, and he was saying that he's not had any issues at all, and he's using a really old version. So I downloaded that, and it was working okay, but there were certain functions like the chat, the kind of online chat, the streaming chat, all that kind of stuff, that wasn't there. So then I put the latest one on, and I was just getting problems with it was picking up the microphone when you didn't want the microphone, even though the microphone was disabled, it was still picking it up, and just getting a lot of problems with it, which is a pain in the arse. But I spent a couple of hours tonight, and I think I've finally nailed it. So hopefully the proof will be in the pudding on Sunday when I do another live stream. So anyway, listen, I'm going to get going in a couple of minutes. I've got one question from Milty Swinbuckle from last week, or actually not last week, the week before it was. Bit of a touchy subject, this one, and I certainly don't lump you into this category and wouldn't expect you to mention any names if you thought of some. Well, answering it as it might be like kicking a hornet's nest. Milty, you know me by now. I don't have any allegiance to any of the big YouTubers. I mean, I don't have any allegiance to really any YouTubers other than, you know, some of my friends that watch my channel. So I wouldn't have any problems calling them out. But do you think that there are any of the fairly big YouTube retro game reviewer channels who review game systems and games that have such a bias towards certain older systems, such as the C64 versus Spectrum schoolyard argument of back in the day, but have carried said hatred onto their YouTube channel and will purposely give an overrated or shite score to something that they don't like? I'll be honest, Milty, I don't really watch any other YouTube channels that kind of do these Commodore 64 Spectrum things, so I can't really comment. But you know what? I do get it. I do understand why people would have a bias towards certain systems, because I've obviously got a bias towards the C64. The reason being that was the system that I owned back in the day. You know, I'd seen a Spectrum. My mate had a Spectrum. I'd seen one. I'd never really played one. Didn't have any affiliation like the BBC or Amstrad or any of these other ones. So it is natural when you get a bit older, you've still got the rose-colour spectacles. You've got the nostalgia. So yeah, I think it is natural. I don't think there's anything wrong with having, you know, an allegiance to a certain system, you know, because I certainly do. But I would like to think that when I do my Arcade Perfect, my RCs, or my 8-bit face-off kerfuffles, where I compare like home versions of these, I always try and be as neutral as possible. You know, if I think that the Commodore 64 version is shite, I will absolutely say it. And conversely, if I think that the Amstrad version is better, I will say it. The only thing is, most of the time, the Commodore 64 version is the best. No, but I mean, seriously, I will always try and I'll try and be neutral and try and give as honest opinion as possible. But yeah, I do think that it's a natural thing. It's a natural thing to have a kind of bias towards the system that you owned back in the day. You know, unless you were a Jupiter Ace or I don't know, an Aquarius fan, something like that. So anyway, folks, listen, I do apologise. It is an extremely short Friday waffle. I'm going to get going. I says I will be along. Hopefully, all going well, I'll be along on Sunday 7 o'clock till 8 as usual. And like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I may do the new games on the Commodore 64, or I may do a Pico 8, or I may do something completely different. I don't know. Just before I go, folks, could I ask a favour of you? Was it last year or the year before? I think it was 2 years ago, actually. I went down to Arcade Club with a group of mates, all of which knew me through kind of YouTube. Had a great time. We went to the one in Bury. We're wanting to do another road trip, and it's going to be the Arcade Club in Leeds, because it's slightly not as far for people like myself coming from Scotland. The plan is probably April, maybe towards the end of April, something like that. That's the plan. What I want you to do is, if you're interested in meeting us there or coming along, whatever, can you just put a wee comment down below? Because I want to kind of get an idea of numbers, who would possibly be going. Like I said, I think we'll maybe try and go for like the end of April, which is, what would that be? 2 months' time. Gives us plenty time to kind of get it planned. So let me know. Put the comments down below if you're interested in going along to Arcade Club. You know, it would be great fun to see people. It's always nice meeting people that watch my channel. You know me, but I don't really know you, so it's always really pretty cool to do that. So anyway, folks, listen, I'm gonna get going. I hope you all have a really nice Friday and weekend, and I will hopefully see you on Sunday night. Until next time, folks, as always, thank you very, very much for watching.